Welcome to Culture Talk, where we talk about how culturally relevant topics can be used to start conversations about the Christian faith. I'm joined today with Fazale Rana, biochemist and co-author of Humans 2.0, a scientific, philosophical, and theological perspective on transhumanism. Thank you for joining us, Fuz.
Sandra, thanks for having me.
That was a mouthful, but I got your title out. And you know what? We're here to talk about something very near and dear to my heart, and that is anti-aging technology. That is something that, especially here in the US, we're very concerned about aging and looking young and youthful. And so when you have written about anti-aging and anti-aging technology, I'm like, okay, where do I sign up? This is a very interesting topic. But you've written quite extensively on biotechnology, and most recently in your article about anti-aging, you ask whether scientists should actually turn back the hands of time. So first, can you give us an understanding of the research that prompted your recent article?
Yeah, well, this idea of anti-aging technology, I think for many people is really viewed as something that is kind of pseudo-scientific claims, about products that really don't truly deliver. But the fact of the matter is there are biogerontologists who are actively looking for ways to reverse the aging process. And recently, a team from Israel did a really interesting study where they were using hyperbaric oxygen, basically administering 100% oxygen over the course of 90 minutes for the span of 2 months for 35 test subjects who were all over 65 years of age. And after going through that regime, they noticed that there were a couple of markers, biological markers that reflect biological age that actually were reversed, indicating that even though these test subjects spent 2 months in the study, at the end of the study, biologically, they were actually younger than when they began the study. And so for one of the first times in recorded scientific literature, we see an actual reversal of the aging process.
Wow, that is some really cool stuff. So, to me, that all sounds exciting. So can you tell us first about kind of the exciting part, and then we'll delve into maybe some of the concerns. So what would this technology do to help slow or reverse the aging process on like a broader scale?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, this kind of technology does offer the prospects of allowing all of us to live longer, healthier lives of high quality. But on top of that, many of the serious diseases that inflict people, like cancer and different types of cardiovascular disorders, type 2 diabetes, dementia, Alzheimer's, as examples, are actually correlate with age, where age is considered to be one of the greatest risk factors for these diseases. In fact, there are some people who think aging itself is what prompts or triggers the onset of these diseases. So if we can reverse the aging process, we can mitigate quite a bit of pain and suffering that people experience going through these horrific diseases. But also at a societal scale, this could dramatically reduce medical expenses, medical costs, because a lot of the cost of medicine is actually end-of-life care, where people, again, have these types of diseases and disorders.
So that all sounds really good, helping people just to ease human suffering and to lower medical costs. That all sounds like good stuff. So why would we be concerned about some of these technologies?
Well, people that are pursuing the anti-aging agenda actually have this vision that not only would we extend life expectancy maybe tens of years, but maybe hundreds of years, where people are literally talking about at one day humans living to be several hundred years old. And when you have that kind of dramatic increase in life expectancy, now suddenly you're changing the very nature of who we are as human beings, because the process of aging is very much part of who we are and how we experience life. But on top of that, you're looking at wide-scale economic changes, because to live that long means you've got to have the monetary resources throughout the duration of your life, which means you're going to be working for hundreds of years. And now suddenly, you're looking at losing, job opportunities for the people in the next generation, or you're looking at large scale societal changes. Because if people are living that long and death rates now drop, that means you're going to have pressure on the limited resources in the world, which now means you're either going to have to curtail births, or the anti-aging technology will only be available to select people. That maybe these are people who, as a society, we deem are worth living hundreds of years, or maybe it's for only the wealthy. So there's all kinds of ethical issues that arise when we start thinking about extending life expectancy.
Yeah, those are things that I think you do a really good job of expressing in your book, Humans 2.0, because it all on the front side of it sounds so exciting to have anti-aging, to live longer and to live a healthier life. So we're not just living longer, but we have more energy, and we're able to just be healthier for a longer period of time. That all sounds great. But then when you start talking about job opportunities and talking about accessibility and lack of accessibility for people who aren't um, as well off financially, like then it becomes kind of clear what those ethical concerns are. You also talk in your book, though, about a false gospel. So people might be wondering, how would you get from transhumanism to a false gospel?
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Well, this idea of transhumanism in a nutshell is this movement that argues that we should be using science and technology to overcome our biological limits as human beings. And the chief limit that we all face is our own mortality. And so transhumanists are looking to science and technology as kind of a vehicle for salvation, if you will, where science and technology can save us, can give us practical immortality. So anti-aging technology fits and fuels the transhumanist agenda. And so, but simply looking at, again, all these different ethical issues makes it very clear that science and technology can't save us, because technology is always a double-edged sword. There are true benefits, but there are also real costs. And those costs are such that you're never going to have technology be able to truly rescue us from our predicament.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. So let's say we're talking then to a non-Christian, and they are all for easing human suffering. How do we have a conversation about transhumanism that is compassionate and shows that we too want to ease human suffering, but we're also bringing up these ethical concerns? Like, how would you have that conversation?
Well, to me, I would not view somebody who is pursuing transhumanism as necessarily an enemy, because at the end of the day, what is being expressed is this fundamental need that we all have as human beings, which is hope, purpose, and destiny, and that we see the world as that the world isn't the way it's supposed to be, that death is unnatural. And so transhumanists are trying to solve these problems with technology, whereas the gospel is offering us a different type of solution, namely in the hope that we have in the person of Christ. And so, but yet, this is a wonderful bridge, I think, to the gospel, and, hopefully allows people to see the spiritual dimension of their need and how the gospel can fill it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that, Fuzz. It's a pretty deep topic. So if you are interested in hearing more about this topic, go to reasons.org and search for transhumanism. You can also search for anti-aging. Thanks again for joining.